Welcome, fam, to the week 11 of the 2023 season recap of the FFFL. I have a special Thanksgiving week edition and a special guest. What is your name, sir?
Bob.
Oh, this is Bob. Bob, how are you related to the family for those who don't know?
I am married to your sister, which is also Zach's sister
Yep.
and Casey's sister,
Yep. Yes.
and Mindy's daughter.
Yes. So you are our brother-in-law. And I see that you are Casey shared the sad news yesterday.
Yep.
And you are repping the jersey of Mr. Shaq Leonard.
Yep.
How are you feeling?
Uh, first, I like him a lot. I can't believe that they're like letting him go or whatever, but I understand from their point, they're paying him. He's not really producing the way he should be producing for what he's getting paid. So
Yeah, how he was getting I forgot that he got a hefty
yeah,
contract.
yeah, he. I think I was listening to sports radio a little bit, and they're saying it's going to save the Colts around 20 million or whatever on the cap.
Jeez. Like
Yeah,
next year? Like next year?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's huge. I know.
yeah,
And it's so sad because like he was the leader of the defense. I mean, let's rewind it, what, 2, 3 years ago.
right.
He's the leader of the defense. Because you had mentioned before about like he had a back surgery. Like when did he have the back
Yep.
surgery?
He had the back surgery last year during the season or whatever. It's like it was season ending or whatever,
Okay.
and Uh, he just hasn't been the same since he had that surgery. It's crazy.
Weird.
Yep.
Weird.
Yep.
We should ask Louis because Louis had a few back surgeries now and is going through some unfortunate stuff with that. So Louis, we're all with you, man, because that's tough. And that's, I mean, shit, your spine, man, that's such an important part of the body. And if
Right.
you're then going to be active and trying to tackle and all that kind of stuff, I can only imagine kind of what that does to you. Because we had Peyton Manning, right, who had like the neck
Yep.
surgery and stuff, and what that did to him. But um, I guess I'm sad because like he's seems like a good dude, and like you kind of talked about it, but like what's he like in the community and like all
Yeah.
that?
He helps out the community a lot. He does the turkey giveaway every year. He hands out a whole bunch of turkeys and all that, and he still did all that stuff today. So that was pretty cool of him to do that with everything that's going on. I just think it's crazy timing of the release of him because I mean the Colts could have waited till the end of the year. Why not keep him and all that? But he's been kind of vocal lately, so maybe that had something to do with it, causing locker room drama or something. I don't know.
Is
But
that what's
Jim,
going? Is that what's going on? I'm not there, so
yeah,
you're much more tuned into like the daily cult stuff going on.
yeah, he's been pretty vocal because he's been wanting to play more. They've been using him on first down and second down, and then pulling him for third and fourth down. And
Okay.
he was getting pretty vocal about that. But I mean, we have two other linebackers doing pretty good. Zaire Franklin,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then I think it's DJ Speed,
Yeah.
maybe. Yep.
Yeah, it's
And then,
DJ or EJ. I can't remember what it is.
yeah, yeah,
Something like that. And he's actually been the surprise. Like he like
right. He's the tackle leader of the team and
yeah.
everything. He's just
Like
kind of taking over Leonard's spot. So
I used to play in a fantasy league that actually did individual defensive players called like IDP, where you actually had to get that. And I knew more about the defensive players at that point, but I did see like I think it was a few weeks ago where they were talking about him just like randomly. I'd seen a thing and I was like, that's kind of crazy. Like he kind of came out of nowhere, and it just really improved and like he's looked good out there.
right. Yeah, it'll be interesting next couple weeks because I mean he's out on waiver right now, so anybody could pick him up. That they were kind of talking maybe the Bills or somebody like that might pick him up, which would be kind of crazy if he goes there and
Yeah.
produces.
But that's kind of true for a guy like him. It would have to be a team that's contending and needs some help on
Right,
that defense, or at least to take a chance on somebody. And the Bills would
right,
be a perfect spot because of all their injuries and what they have going on. Like it's one of those like you got a guy who has shown because as you know, man, Shaq Leonard. I mean, I would have considered him potentially the best middle linebacker in the game just 2 or 3 years ago.
right, right.
He was a
Yeah,
beast.
yeah. I think he can still do something. I just with everything that's going on with the Colts and new coaches and all that, it's just not working out for him.
Yeah. And that's sad because, yeah, like you said, like really liked the guy, and he was such a big part of that defense for many years, and for the defense to kind of come back. Like I think we've been you know, waiting on like a good defense since you had like Freeney and Mathis and Sanders and
Right,
stuff. Like you've been waiting on stuff like that. And he was a big key to that. And then when they got DeForest Buckner, you're like, all right, now we got Leonard
right,
and Buckner. Like it's starting to kind of shape up. You had some good corners at that time too. Like even
yeah,
when Gilmore came over, it was like, all right, like we're starting to like get this piece together, and it just
right.
just not
Just
worked
fell,
out.
just fell apart. It's my curse, man. Every Colts jersey I buy, something happens.
No more Colts jerseys for you. I'm guessing you bought an Anthony Richardson jersey then.
No, but Zach told me I'm not allowed to.
I know he'll be an interesting one for next season, like for
Right.
the fantasy league next year, as to like what you want to do and if you're willing to take the gamble on
Yeah,
a guy with his talent.
it'll be tough with him because it's almost like he's a rookie again next year because he only
Yep,
played a couple games and all
yep.
those reps really do matter. So
No, they do. And at first, when it was first going on with him, and he was playing so well, especially for fantasy football, and even for the Colts, like I was like, man, Glenn got a steal in this draft because it
yeah,
was like the second quarterback I think that Glenn auto drafted, but he had gotten him, and I was like, man, that turned out to be a freaking great
yeah,
pick, and then he got hurt, and it was unfortunate.
it's crazy seeing the Colts running back get rushing touchdowns and run the way he does. Never had anything like that.
No, man, it was fun watching him. Like,
Right.
and another guy, like locker room presence and a good like leader. That's why I like him too. Is I'd seen, and we'll get into the podcast here shortly, but I'd seen something on him, and I don't remember if somebody in our chat had sent it, but it was something about Anthony Richardson at the rookie draft, like in the NFL, and like he had stayed after to clean up like with the staff because
Right.
he felt bad and he felt like it was unfair that all these people made such a mess for them. And I'm like, dude, that just shows right there what a good guy he is
Right.
and like a leader. And then to see him play how he did, I'm like, okay, they made the right choice.
Yeah.
I already still like him more than Bryce Young. I always wanted CJ Stroud. I said from the beginning,
I
Stroud is the
I
best
wanted
player.
CJ Stroud too. So
So when Stroud was taken at that number two spot, I was because when Bryce Young was taken, I'm like, okay, now if we can just get the Texans to not take Stroud, I'll feel great because I think Stroud's the best player in this, of all the quarterbacks, and he's kind of
yeah,
proven it. But
yeah, he has.
made a tough choice for Louis. I mean, we'll see on Louis' games this week, but he may have had a different outcome if C.J. Stroud played
Yep.
instead of Jalen Hurts. But I don't think you're mentioning Jalen. Uh, but well, enough chatter. But yeah, sad to see Shaq Leonard go. But
Yep.
we'll get into our week 11 recap here. So let me go ahead and share my screen, bring
Cool.
up this beautiful presentation that I've apparently created and template. But all right, we're doing the week 11 recap. We start off with last week's matchups, what happened there. Start with the ass whooping, working our way down to those nail biters. Then we will see Dr. Sam's injury report. I sent you all the waiver wire, what to do's yesterday. I'm sure every single person reviewed it, including my wife. I'm sure she did. Yeah. So we won't be going over that today, Bob, but we will talk about a trade that happened in our league. Then we'll go into the comments of the week and then wrap up with the matchups this week, starting tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day.
Let's do it.
First, we'll go into the ass whooping, and I laid a smackdown on EJ. Um, EJ, it was looking a little in the very beginning of it. Our projections were like right there. We were kind of battling. I was definitely getting pretty nervous with how like everything was going, but I got kind of saved because A, Justin Jefferson didn't play, and B, Cooper Cup got hurt like
Yep,
early in that game.
I saw
And
that.
so, yeah, so he didn't get, but I don't think Cooper Cup's getting enough to, clear that separation that we had, but it definitely doesn't help him to have Cooper Cup kind of going down.
Yeah.
Uh, Anything that you saw in this matchup that you think separated it, or is there any reason that you think that I completely whooped EJ's ass?
Uh, Singletary going off. He's been it was a good pickup for you off of waivers a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago. Great pickup.
thank you.
He
That helped a ton. Yeah.
he went off. Lamar went off. I mean, he got 29.
Yep.
But other than that, Cup only getting 1 point definitely hurts for sure.
Yeah, it hurts a lot, but he's got a good squad. Like EJ still has a really nice squad. Because Jalen Warren, I think, has been a really good running back. And it's a running back that was kind of unexpected to do as well. I shouldn't say that. Beginning of the year, like I liked Jalen Warren, but not I didn't realize he was gonna do what he's doing now. So he did well for EJ. ETN didn't do as well as he had been before, and he that Jacksonville offense kind of had a little bit of a letdown. I was just glad Dak didn't do what Dak's been doing. That's all I can
Right.
say because Dak's been kind of crushing it lately. But yeah,
Yeah.
I got lucky. Everyone basically did what they were supposed to do and then some, except for Dalton Kincaid. Even Kincaid, I'll take 7.5 for my tight end. So even that still worked out. So good week all around. I got blessed with people doing good things. And the high point of the week. So I got that 2 weeks in a row. That's $20 now in my bank. $20.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
Rolling.
I know. But unlike last week we had three games that were, it was, I think, like 36 points or more was the difference. This week it was really just, I felt like this game was the only ass whooping because then the next
Right.
couple games were like 15 to 20 points. And that's not like an ass whooping, that's just a regular beating. But it's not an ass whooping. But we'll get into the next game, which Tyler actually got his second win of the year over Glenn.
Yeah. Broke that losing streak finally.
Yeah, man, he beat me like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then went back to having a couple losses, but then back on top, even with Burrow getting hurt
Right.
in Thursday night games. That was good.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
you
that
saw.
was crazy too. Him going out like that. I saw them showing pictures of him with a brace on his wrist before the game, and they didn't say anything about it. So
Well, yeah, that's become a thing,
right, no,
and
it's become a big thing. A lot of people gambled a lot of money on the Bengals. They're not too happy about it.
no, but they claim, and I guess somehow they're probably able to prove it with like the doctor shit, but they're claiming it's a separate injury.
Really.
I don't know if you heard that, but yeah, they
Yeah, no, I
claimed.
didn't get too much into it reading about it, but
Yeah, they claimed that like the previous injury was they that they weren't the same injuries. And Joe Burrow was saying, "Well, no, like there wasn't an injury destination because I didn't feel like there was a problem. Like I was going to be playing, I didn't have any issues." So that's what they're claiming, and I don't know if they get fined or anything. I don't know. It's weird, and I don't. Maybe the probe is still going, but they're the ultimate claim at the end is that it wasn't technically the same injury that he
right.
had. That's why it's not an issue, but that's tough. But yeah, anything else that you noted from this matchup?
Um, Saquon Barkley going off for Tyler, that really helped him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Saquon's going to get a lot of action because
Yo,
that team is hurting. But I
yeah.
don't. But Bob, I don't know if it's I don't know what to do with that because I think in our league it works out well because you get the points per carry, you know.
Hmm.
But in like other leagues, like at some point you think, well, teams should really just focus on Saquon and
Right.
then let Tommy DeVito try to beat him. Washington has a terrible defensive backfield, so DeVito actually did pretty well too in the game. But yeah, Saquon is a big part. He's going to need him and George Kittle. George Kittle getting almost
Yeah,
20
Kittle.
points.
Yeah.
That was a big deal as well. But I just don't know what he's gonna do at quarterback, kind of moving forward. So we'll have to see what happens there. But Tyler did get another victory, and Glenn is still on the slide. I don't like he's. I can't recall when his last win was, Glenn, and I'm sorry. I'm going to see Glenn tomorrow. Glenn will be here at the Thanksgiving
Nice.
tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know when he last got one, but it just seems like he's always running into issues with injuries or other things going
Yeah,
on, or
he
the players aren't
it's
meeting at
it's
the same time.
definitely been tough for him. I feel bad. Mari Cooper, that whole quarterback situation with the Browns,
Yep.
that's tough. And then Eckler only getting 8 points. That's crazy too. You don't really see that from him.
Right.
And he had a touchdown, so I don't. Did he fumble? Did he have a fumble or something?
Yeah, I didn't get watch much of that game, but I know it was just an odd game. He's not getting the passing work that he once did. Like he doesn't have like Eckler's not getting the receptions. Like you used to always count on Eckler kind of like Christian McCaffrey getting like 5 catches a game.
Yeah,
And he just hasn't really happened for him this year. But yeah, it's a very weird game for that. The fact that he even lost it was weird too. Like I don't know, very odd. But
yeah,
sorry, Glenn. Good luck to you in the next week. His defense hurt him too. His defense cost him a point. That's never good either. But he's got a few holes. Just like as you mentioned, I like that you mentioned Amari Cooper because I don't know what you do with that moving forward if
yeah.
it's
It's
going to
tough.
be this.
I saw that they put Flacco on the practice squad this week.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know what their record is. I don't know what Cleveland's record is. They must be in the running because their defense is great.
Right.
They got and they've kept up, but yeah, I mean, I don't just they're trying out that Dorian. I even picked him up. I picked up that Dorian Thompson Robinson or whatever his name is.
Uh
Like
huh.
I picked him up to see what he would do. He threw the ball like 40 some times. Did you see
Right.
that? But he didn't he only scored like 7 or 8 points in fantasy. It was not
Yeah.
good. It's not a good game for him either. But yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. Kind of moving forward for Amari Cooper, which is one of his top receivers. So, but Brandon Ayuk's still doing well for him. So we'll
Yeah. He
see if
went
that.
off. He went off too. So
And he's been good this year. Like Ayuk's been
yeah.
good, but that's been Glenn's problem. Is like Ayuk's been good. Austin Eckler's even had a few 20-point games so far this year. Dobbs, who he just traded for, he's been good. Like all these players, he's got Ty Chandler actually did well, but nobody's coming together at the same time to then
Right.
get him to that 120-point mark to feel confident you might get a victory. So tough for you, Glenn. Sorry about you, man, but maybe this upcoming week will do better. But shoot, Tyler, nice job with another W. You are still in playoff contention, man. Just saying. Just there's still a chance. That's all I'm
Moving up.
saying.
Win it out.
Yeah. All right, next matchup. We got Allison who ended up beating Andy by about 18 points. There, uh, she. It's funny. She could have had it could have been worse. But AJ Brown, who had been on an absolute hot streak, only got like 1 catch for 8 yards. I think is what he got.
Yeah.
That was weird. I didn't see the game, so I don't know anything about it. But she could.
I did not watch that game because I had a lot riding on that game. So I didn't. Yeah. Can't stand Pat.
So you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. But yeah, so I thought she'd win by even more after like, going into that night. But DeAndre Swift still did well for her to help kind of seal that victory. But anything that you noted from this game that would have maybe change the tides a bit?
Uh, Andy having Trevor Lawrence on the bench all year. I
Well, it
feel like,
hasn't been all year. It's been up and down for him. I think at times
yeah,
he tries to
I feel
play him,
like
he doesn't
he
do
doesn't
well.
play him a lot, and I mean he went off. He had 37 points,
Yeah. Well,
but
he had been playing. I think it's unfortunate because he had been playing Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley together. Like
right,
he'd been doing that because you want the stack, but they've been so bad at like more lately. I shouldn't say even lately, like most of the year they've been kind of bad. And so then he finds like, okay, fuck it. I traded him Kyler Murray, who is a good quarterback, and he's like, all right, I'm going to play Murray. And Murray did well. He's got 23 points. It's not bad. It's good. Um,
right,
but so he decides to play him, and then finally Trevor Lawrence goes off with Calvin Ridley. And yeah, if he plays Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley instead of Kyler Murray and we'll say Nico Collins, then he wins handily. Like he
right,
actually ends up winning that. I think he wins that matchup by like 8 points or something, or 10 points, something like that, if he just makes that switch back the other
right.
way. So I think that ultimately hurts Devon Achan going out, getting injured, and Aaron Jones getting
Yeah,
injured. That also hurt badly.
I
Both
saw
players got injured.
I saw Achan got injured again. Is it a knee injury again?
Yeah, so it's a re-aggravation of the same injury. They claimed that he could have come back and played like in that game, but they kind of felt like they didn't ultimately need him to win the game. And they
Right.
were right; they won the game, but yeah, they so it sounds like he'll be playing again this week. Like he'll play. Is what
Yeah.
they're making it sound like. But yeah, he had Devon Achan and Aaron Jones both get hurt like kind of early on in their games. And so combined from really his top two running backs, because Achan could go off for a bunch and so can
Yeah.
Jones. Uh, they combined for 4 points. Like that's not going to help you. That doesn't help you
Right.
win the game. So that was his ultimate kind of demise. I would have done the same as he did. I would have benched Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. They had sucked. Like they weren't doing well. So
Right.
you kind of take that loss as like, okay, but getting those injuries of Aaron Jones and Devon Achan, that just kind of sucks and kind of lost the week for him.
Yeah.
So Allison slipped on by and ends up getting into first place because of that. Next up is your game, man. Tell me about your game. You said you didn't watch.
I I watched a little bit of football in the early games or whatever, and man, I my team, it's just like it's been rough. Like I'm predicted high points, but my guys just haven't been coming together. Derrick Henry, 2 weeks back to back, 4 points, and
Yeah.
all that. But the game, it really scared me because Zach, I all my players had played, and Zach
Yep.
still had Patrick Mahomes and Marquise and Kansas City Chiefs defense,
Yep.
and he was one catch away from beating me. What it came down to.
And I didn't see that play. So I don't
Oh
know
man,
how.
I just happened. I didn't watch any of the game, and it was like 11 o'clock, and I was like, this game's got to be over. And I turned it on, and there's still like 3 minutes left, and I just have it happened to be that play, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh my god! And he dropped it, and I'm like, yes, but that was
Was it a
crazy.
bomb? Was it like a long pass?
It was like a 60-yard bomb.
So it would
So
have won because that's where I didn't
yeah,
know. I didn't know how long the pass was. I had heard that he dropped like a big touchdown pass, but I
oh yeah,
didn't know how far it was.
yeah, it was 60-yarder. So he would have got 60 yards, catch, touchdown, and then touchdown for Mahomes. He probably would have beat me.
Yeah, because you're so let's do the quick math. So you won by 17, basically. We're gonna say you won by 17.
Right,
If they connect on that pass, we'll say it's a 60-yard pass. So if they connect on that as a touchdown, there goes 12 points already because both players get a touchdown. So there goes
right,
12 points right there. And then you're right, you would have lost because MVS, Marquez Valdez Scantling, the wide receiver, would have gotten 6 more points for the 60 yards of it, plus another half point for the catch. So then there's
yep,
18 and a half right there that already beat you. And then Mahomes, I think, since we have like 25 yards per point, there's another like we'll just say 2.5. or 2 points from that. So yeah, it would have been it's like a 20. So for everybody out there, this is why like we talk about boom bust. That one play could have been 20 and a half points or 21 points for Zach, which means that he wins on one play.
One play. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy, but that's why we talk about, or when Ronnie and I we mentioned like there are players that have a floor and they catch passes for 8 to 10 yards every time. That's what they do, and then there are other players that only catch like two passes, but it's for like 100 yards. Like
Right.
that's why it matters. You want that boom because he played it right. It just didn't get the boom right. They
Yep.
didn't connect.
Yep. Almost though. It was close. It was insane. I
And I think that was the first time he ever played Marquez Valdez Scantling. I'm pretty sure that's the first time he's played him in a lineup.
right. And I
So
think I think he might have picked him up right before he might have picked him up last week on waiver because I thought he
yeah,
had Skylar Moore forever or what
he did, but I
or
think he had both.
Rice. Maybe it's Rice. I
I
don't
have
know.
Rasheed Rice. No, I have Rasheed Rice, but he had both. He had Sky Moore and Marquez Valdez Scantling, but Sky Moore faded out like really early, whereas
Right.
MVS is always out there. He just like doesn't get very many passes. It's so weird.
Right.
But when you drop a pass like that, why would I trust you to catch the next one? You lost.
Right.
We lost the game because of
Yep.
that. So that's tough. But hey, you got the W. That's
Yes, I did.
helpful. So you are now 5-6. Zach falls that 4-7 mark, and that's going to be a weird mark because there's I think at least two teams, if not three, at that 4-7 mark. Yeah, so there's some interesting movement going on at the bottom there for that final playoff spot. So it should be interesting, but we'll get to that when we hit the standings. But nice job getting that W. Anything you would have changed? Like I don't know if anything would have impacted you. Stephon Diggs,
Um.
not a good game, but you still
Yeah.
get the W.
I probably wouldn't have changed any. Yeah. I probably wouldn't have changed anything. I mean, I got some points on my bench, but those are just guys I picked up and just see what they do. I,
Yeah.
J- that Jaden Reed, he might turn out to be something,
Yep.
but
Literally, I'm moving this little bar that's always in my way. It's annoying. There it goes. Finally clicks out to see which Packer wide receiver that was. Because if it was Jaden
right,
Reed, I'm like, you got the right guy. Like he's
right.
solid player. The only one that I'm gonna throw at you would be because you picked up Jaleel McLaughlin a little bit back, and now it
Yep.
seems like they're going back to P Ryan again and like not
Yeah,
using McLaughlin
it's
much. It's weird.
it's tough. I picked up McLaughlin just to kind of handcuff Javante a
Oh,
little
that's
bit.
true because if Javante goes down, it won't be P Ryan taking that role. It'll be McLaughlin taking that
Right.
role. That's smart.
Yeah.
Nice job, Bob. That's honestly very smart because yeah, you're right. It won't be him. But B Rob, Brian Robinson, again, man, another good game for you. So another
Yeah.
solid game. I think he's a top like he's a RB1. And when I say RB1, um so anytime I say RB1 or RB2, it's referring to like their let's just say if he was on we have 12 teams.
Hmm.
So it usually means he's a running back 12, the running back 12 or better. Because what that means is that he would be the number one running back with like if all those players were on a separate team, they
Right.
would be like the number. That's what that means. But
Yeah.
so when I say RB1, that's what I mean. But I'm pretty sure he is one, and he's been kind of under the radar as a
Yeah,
pretty.
he's been kind of going off. What really helps him is his pass catching. I mean, he takes off on when he gets that pass. He's really good at it too.
2 weeks in a row of him catching, I think, 7 passes both weeks,
Right. He
which
got he
isn't,
got over 100 yards last week all this
yeah.
season.
And that's not normally his game because Antonio Gibson is normally that player, but Antonio Gibson's been hurt. But even early on, Brian Robinson was getting stuff, and he gets a lot of carries. He's their main back.
Yeah, he gets a
Um,
lot. He does get a lot of carries. I wish he'd get some more rushing touchdowns. I don't think he has any rushing touchdowns. They're all pass touchdowns this year. So
yeah, that offense is weird because it operates very similar to Kansas City because of Eric Bieniemy, who used to be the Kansas City's offensive coordinator, and now he's the offensive coordinator for Washington. So when
Right.
people are like, when you see Sam Howell, doing really well, but actually a lot of Sam Howell's receivers, it's like just like Kansas City, you just don't know who's going to be this week really, and they spread the ball around a lot. But it's good to see kind of Brian Robinson getting into the passing game and him showing that he could do it as well.
Yeah.
All right, well, nice job for the W. We'll move on. I think we have up next the first nail biter, which this was a true nail biter. So this is Casey and Louis. So Casey won by less than half a point,
Right.
ultimately. And I know that it was Casey had Travis Kelsey going into the Monday night matchup. And then Louis had Jalen Hurts and Isaiah Pacheco going in. So that's kind of where I'm not saying that's where it was defined for the matchup, but that was obviously an important matchup. And if I'm not mistaken, someone said like Jalen Hurts had like 0 points going into the second half or something. It was just a really terrible first half for Jalen.
Yeah.
But so you got something, but I don't know if that's as much of the story as Mark Andrews. Like, what happened there, man? I don't know if you watched
Uh
that Thursday night game.
yeah, he just ankle injury. He just kind of twisted his ankle up a little bit and he's done.
Yeah, he's done. Like he's out for the season
He's
now.
done for the season, which is crazy. So that'll be interesting too. I don't really know their other tight ends for their team for the
Isaiah
Ravens.
Likely. So Isaiah Likely,
Likely.
and I think he's out there. I don't know if I saw anybody pick him up quite yet. So if
Right.
somebody's in need of it, um, I may have talked about him on the waiver wire episode. I don't know. But yeah, but that would be it. It would be Isaiah Likely that comes in for Mark Andrews. But yeah, Andrews only got him 1.3 because of that injury. Because I think that was in the first drive. Like I think that was the
Yeah,
first drive of the game.
it was definitely super early when
And I
that
don't
happened.
like it because it impacts to me Lamar Jackson and makes
Right.
him not as good because that offense just won't be as good.
Right.
But for Casey's side, he has Zay Flowers, and they were kind of talking like Zay Flowers will probably like whenever Mark Andrews was out early on in the season, that's when Zay Flowers was at his best, and so
Right.
Zay Flowers might be a better option for Casey now, kind of moving forward too. But yeah, Casey barely squeaked through with it, and both were high scores, like 117 and 116. I think those were near the top. I mean, Louis again getting some good scoring from his
Yep.
team, just not getting the W this time. And then Casey moves into first place in the West. So Casey is first place in the division. But I don't know if you notice he's ninth in points scored in our league. So
Nice.
little shaky there, Casey. It is what it is. The record is what it is, and he's in the
Right.
playoffs. Like it's I don't even know that he can miss. Like because there's yeah, I don't know how he's not guaranteed to be in the playoffs like him and Allison.
Right.
We'll get into that too, but technically they can only get 6 losses at the most, and there's already 4 teams with 7 or more losses, or 5 teams, meaning they have to automatically be in. So I don't know why I didn't give them the auto in already, but we'll
Right.
see. But yeah, very close one on that one. And then we had one more. We had one more nail biter, and that was Sam and Kyle. So I this one was technically was decided by Sunday, like by the end of the day on Sunday.
Right.
But Kyle ended up taking it at the end of it all. So Kyle ended up with the W. But I know, I think what was the Sunday night game was that Minnesota game. So Kyle was already up, I think was up on Sam by like 14 points or something like that. But Sam had Jordan Addison to go, and Jordan Addison just didn't do well. He just
Right.
kind of shot the bed. Anything else that you saw in this matchup that may
Uh,
have made the
Joe,
difference?
I mean, Joe Burrow getting hurt and Jamar Chase not getting his reps, man. That's tough.
That's
And,
true. So
and
how do you see that moving forward, like with Jamar Chase? Like, do you see like so he was projected to get 18 points, he got 8. Like where do you see that now?
Yeah, I don't know who. I don't even know who the Bengals backup quarterback is.
Like Jake Browning. I don't even. I think he's a rookie.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough with them too, but I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd expect him to be getting the 18 like he usually does.
No, but you can't really like take him out of the lineup. I mean, he's such
No.
a star player.
Yeah.
But I want to say what he caught like two passes, and he got lucky because he got a touchdown within those two passes.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a real shitty day. It's like it's not good at all. But yeah, but that's a good point. That Joe Burrow injury and how it's going to impact Jamar Chase. Joe Mixon still had a good game,
Right. But
but
I heard them kind of talking about Joe Mixon's production maybe going down with no Joe Burrow too. So
yeah.
I
Well, and
don't know.
that
It's just crazy to lose a guy like that because he does so much for everybody, and everybody's feeling the effects of it now.
yeah, just the offense in general, right? I mean, when you have a good quarterback that can move the ball and your team is moving the ball well, the whole reason people talk about like production going down is a when the quarterback's not doing very good, right? Like they might not extend the drive, meaning they're not converting on third down. They're not, so you keep getting more and more plays because that's what you need. You need more opportunities. And then the second part of that is like touchdowns. Like if you're not getting close enough for a touchdown because your quarterback can't move the ball, then Joe Mixon is now hurt because he can't get close enough to the end zone to score one.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's a good point, man. That's hurting Sam. He started out high. I want to say he was 5-0 at one point,
Yeah.
and he.
And he got Fields back, so that helps him out a lot too.
Yep,
And I didn't watch that game, but I guess Bears kind of blew that. I don't know.
they
I heard
did.
that they had a lead and whoever they were playing came back. Who was it that they were playing? Green Bay
Detroit.
or Detroit? Yeah. So
Well,
tough.
I want to say they were up like the Bears were up 26-17 with
Right.
like 3 minutes left or 4 minutes left. Like it wasn't a ton of time left in the game, and so yeah, Justin Fields like, and I didn't get to see the very end to know what all happened on the offensive end to give the ball back because I know Detroit scored fairly quickly, but at that point they still it's not they were down by 9. They score, they can't even tie them, right? Even with a 2 point conversion. So they had to. So then the Bears had the ball back, but it didn't go well. I think they like missed a pass or two in that. It was kind of tough, but yeah, they fucked that one up. But that was like a perfect. But that's perfect for them.
Right.
That's what they did last year, man. It's like they want a good draft pick, so they do enough to like show that they're close, but they lost, so they still get the loss for a better draft pick, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Do you think Justin, if they do keep losing, do you think they pick a quarterback?
I do just because the sentiment around with their fan base also wants it. Like they don't like Justin Fields, which I think
Right.
is unfortunate because I actually like him. I think that his style of play, it just depends on like if you have a coach or a coaching staff that can work with that. Okay, I think about the Colts. Like here they rip on, the Bears and they don't want Fields and like he's not a good quarterback. And I'm like, I guarantee if fucking Shane Steichen had him on the team, like I feel like if he's on the Colts and he's running that offense, like I would love him on that offense. I think he
Right.
work well with it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what his leadership is like. They don't talk about much of that. But
Right.
I don't know if you watched any of the game, but he had like a beautiful touchdown pass to DJ Moore, like perfectly thrown deep ball. And Bajent couldn't do that. Bajent wasn't able to do any of that kind of stuff. He can
Right.
run. To me, it feels like it's more like defense. When you've given up 31 points, I mean, is it really Justin Fields' fault that, you gave up 31 points?
Right. Yeah.
And that's what it was last year because everyone talks about his win loss record. I'm not kidding. Here, like they're all about like, oh well, 6 and 20 something. It's like, yeah, because his defense fucking gives up 30 plus points every week, and he's
Right.
trying to like score as much as he can. So I think he gets a bad rap here. But no, I think if they had the number one, I don't know what they take because it sounds like that Caleb Williams guy, like they're saying that he's not looking that great.
Yeah, yeah, he's not looking great. And then I don't know. I saw a story. I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly that Caleb, uh, what's his last name?
I think it's Williams, right?
Williams.
I think it is.
He wants a stake in whatever football team he joins.
Right. That's
So,
right.
which and I was like, that's like what? That's a lot for a NFL team to say. Okay, like yeah, you we'll keep you for life or whatever. Like that's nuts.
Well, and I think he's also had like demands of like I want to play for this team or that team. He's only like
Right,
willing to go to like 5 or 6 different teams. Otherwise, because technically I think he's only a junior, so like he could stay, right, or something like that. Maybe I don't know, but it
right.
was something like that too. Of like, okay, if I don't get these teams, like I'm just gonna like stay back another year. So it was weird. Like it gives off the vibes that like I don't want this man on my team.
Yeah, I think he sounds picky, so I'm not
Yeah,
in.
and I don't watch hardly any college football. So that's the other tough
Yeah,
part is like I got to go off
me
like these.
neither.
Yeah. Oh, let me ask you this. So before we move on from this game, because this is the last one for the week, and then we'll go into the injury report. What do you think of Kyle playing Sam Howell over Josh Allen before this
Uh,
week? So don't think about what happened with Josh Allen this week, but like, did you like the move? Did you feel like it was a smart thing to do, or would you have done the opposite and kept Allen in?
I I mean, it was a smart move on his part. I don't think I would have done that at all. I mean, Josh Allen, Josh Allen's good.
Yeah,
It's just been rough. Like he can give you so many points like with what
yeah.
he does. But I mean, it was a smart move on his part.
Well, no, it didn't work out. Well, he won, but technically Allen scored 9 more points than Howell. So
Yeah.
Allen would have been a better play
Okay,
this week, but
I see that now.
Howell's been so hot lately that like to me I commend him for having the cojones to do it and he
Well,
won. But
I could see where he's coming from. I feel didn't Josh Allen like not produce very well for him a couple weeks? Like
yeah, a couple weeks in a row and he's looked bad. Like the Bills even themselves haven't looked as good. So
right,
it's been
and I
kind of
think
tough.
I is Josh Allen still nursing a shoulder injury?
No, and that's true too. So he had it. He looked better this past week, but you're right. He had that issue too of he's been having that shoulder issue for shoot ever since probably for 4-ish weeks now, 4 or 5. It was that one tackle on the sideline where
Right,
he got up nursing it, and that just takes a while. But yeah, I don't know that I could do it. And I bet he'll go back to Allen because I don't know how you don't. It was also against the Jets. Jets are a really good defense, so maybe you're looking at it like the Giants are not a good defense. Jets are a
right,
great defense, and like yeah, kind of back and forth. But Josh Allen's one of those guys. Like it's like Christian McCaffrey. He will never get benched. Like it doesn't matter who he's playing against. There are certain players that just Patrick Mahomes always plays, so you're not going to play anybody else.
right.
And Josh Allen, I kind of have myself in that category of I commend you, Kyle, but I couldn't do it. Allen always plays. That's just what it is. I'm taking that same with Lamar. Lamar, that first week I had him right, he went off, right? With like
Right.
42 points. But then the next like 3 weeks, I think he like averaged like 16 points. It
And
was
that's
like
why I
15.
traded them to you.
Yeah, right. And it gets
I couldn't
frustrating.
do it, man. It's crazy. It's nuts. I
Well, and for you, you got like 50 points out of Tua and Tyreek this week,
yep.
so you did the right thing of like keeping that stack together and they're going to score and do well. But yeah, Kyle, I think you did well. Kyle was like fourth or fifth in points this week. So he did well, but you might want to keep Josh Allen in moving forward. Just saying. Well, that wraps up week 11 matchups, Bobo. And that brings us
Whew.
into our sponsor break before we get into Dr. Sam and what he's got for us in the injury report. And this week, we did get a special sponsor that was sent to us by somebody close, near and dear to this place. This week's sponsor is EJ's House of Cheese. The cheesehead champion himself is opening a cheese shop inspired by his life journey. He was once a lonely craft single just floating in the brie. Got a job so he could make that cheddar, and life was Gouda. Then he met a girl and was instantly turned into a whipped cream cheese. They got a nice cottage and may one day bring a baby Swiss in this world. But for the time being, EJ is working on becoming a fantasy football whiz. The good news for all of you is that he is already a cheese whiz who will melt your heart like a ballpark nacho. The next time your buddies Colby and Jack are getting shredded, we hope you think of the gratedness of EJ's House of Cheese. Well, thank you, EJ. That was so nice of you to sponsor this whole thing, man. Oh, he's such a good guy. And thank you for the person who gave that sponsor for this week. I apologize if I didn't do your specific read. I don't like to read other people's stuff, I realize, Bob. I only read my own writing. So let's just say, like, I just don't speak it well, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't really say other people's words well. It has to be my own words.
Do your own
Uh,
thing.
yeah, exactly. Uh, but let's get right into the injury report from Dr. Sam this week.
Welcome to the Week 11 injury report. We have Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, with a torn ligament in his wrist. He will be done for the season. Should expect a full return by the beginning of next season. Geno Smith, quarterback for the Seahawks, left the game with what was an elbow injury. Drew Lock came in through like one pass and an interception. He decided to come back in. Pete Carroll said it looks like it's just a bruise right below his tricep. Seems likely that he will play, but it is a quick turnaround to the games on Thursday. Kenneth Walker, the running back for the Seahawks, has an oblique strain that Pete Carroll said seemed pretty significant. He's not on IR currently, but he could have a little bit of a stint on an IR depending on um, how things progress with him. Devon Achan, Dolphins running back, just came back from the MCL injury on his knee. Mike McDaniel said that it was just kind of a precaution because there is really a low risk for him to get re-injured with the same injury. So hopefully looking for him to come back on Friday. Aaron Jones, running back for the Packers. They thought initially it was an ACL tear, but I believe the MRI said that there was no ACL tear. So likely just a sprain, but he should miss some time unless it ends up just being a bone bruise. But there wasn't much information out on his injury currently. Deontay Foreman, running back for the Chicago Bears, left the game with an ankle injury. He will likely end up sitting out this game just because Herbert and Johnson are both back from their injuries. Um, Cooper Kupp, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver, left the game with a low ankle sprain. Typically, they won't miss too much time with that. May have like a slight performance dip. But he did have some ankle injury last year that kept him out, so they might be a little bit more precautionary with him. Darius Slayton, wide receiver for the New York Giants. Looks like he just kind of injured his elbow. There wasn't really much information around there, so we're just kind of checking practice plans throughout the week to see if he will be playing. And then I noted a couple of defensive injuries. Joey Bosa, edge rusher for the LA Chargers, looks like he left the game with a foot sprain, but I do believe that they're putting him on the IR. And then, what is it? Talua Hufunga, San Francisco 49ers safety, is out for the remainder of the season with an ACL tear. Have a good one, everyone.
All right, Dr. Sam. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, some of those injuries are kind of tough to hear. I know the LA Chargers defense isn't one that we have really targeted much to actually play, but the San Francisco 49ers defense is one of those. and they were already kind of hurting in their secondary. So to hear they have their starting safety that is out now for the rest of the season makes that defense even worse. So just so people are aware, like that was a defense you could throw on. It seems like you could throw them even more now. So if you have players going against the 49ers defense where you think, hey, not quite sure I want to play them, if it's a receiver or a tight end, you may actually reconsider that and put them into your lineup this week. Any injury concerns that you have, Bob, or that are impacting your team or an upcoming matchup?
Uh, I mean, Wilson's elbow or whatever, but
Okay.
Garrett Wilson, but I don't think I'm going to be playing him this week, so it doesn't really concern me too much.
Why aren't you playing him?
Because of the quarterback situation.
That's true. I forgot they benched Zach Wilson
Yep.
now for the Boyle. Here's what I'll tell you. I don't know. Like Garrett Wilson's just a great player. I mean, I was concerned, and that's part of the reason I traded him. But he's been good. Like he has been a
Yeah,
solid wide receiver too. I mean, he's not going to go
he's been
crazy.
super steady. He's pretty. I mean, he's had multiple 90-yard games and
Yeah,
7, 8 catches and all that. Just no touchdown production, really. That's been the tough part. So,
yeah, and maybe like you're kind of seeing like that's like the separator,
yep,
right? It's like you get a lot of these guys that can get these catches and whatnot, but in our league format, those touchdowns just mean so much more
yeah,
than in like a full point per reception league. Um, because think about that, yeah, like if you have 8 catches from Garrett Wilson in our league, it's only 4 points, whereas in a full point per reception league, it's 8 points, and that's
right,
much closer to a full touchdown, like a touchdown, at that.
right.
So so yeah, that's kind of the tough part, but that's maybe smart. See what Tim Boyle does and kind of
Yeah,
go
I
from
don't know
there.
anything about him, so it's just up in the air right now.
My hope is just simply he's better than Zach Wilson because it's obvious that dude. I thought that dude like it was weird because it seemed like he was getting better and was becoming like a good player, or I shouldn't say
Yeah,
good, but
I had that's one of the reasons why I accepted Garrett Wilson from you is because I've been I watched Hard Knocks on HBO,
yeah,
and I really liked Aaron Rodgers kind of taking him under his wing and stuff, and I thought,
yeah.
maybe it might work out, but it hasn't worked.
Yeah, I think there's some leadership concerns there from what they were saying too
Right.
prior, but also he had been getting better. Like he honestly, like on the field, looked like he was getting better and starting to like figure it out. And especially he was like hyper targeting Garrett Wilson. Like I mean, after I traded him to you, Garrett Wilson was getting like 14 targets, 12
Yep.
targets, 12 targets. Like that's a
Yep.
lot. So he was at least smart enough to know, hey, throw it to that guy and, and
Right.
I'll do better. And they weren't doing too bad, but it's obvious, there's a disconnect in that. And the Bills whooped on them. I mean, what they won like 32-6 or something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, not good at all. But yeah, multiple injuries in there that could impact stuff. Good to hear Aaron Jones might not be out for too long of a period of time. So that's good news. And even for Geno Smith not being out, I saw he's going to play. That's good news for those receivers as well because Drew Lock is not a good quarterback. And so
Right.
if Geno Smith isn't playing, it's Drew Lock instead. That's a real downgrade for a DK Metcalf, a Tyler Lockett, those kind of players too.
Does
Uh,
uh does Tyler have Geno Smith or is Geno Smith on
So
waiver?
Tyler did. He
Right.
had him.
I was wondering
Uh,
who his backup quarter or who his new quarterback's gonna be.
but it is Sam that has Geno Smith.
Oh, nice.
So, but Tyler had Geno Smith. So you were right about that because I know Tyler had him. But yeah, now it's Sam that has Geno Smith. Tyler, I don't know. I'm hoping he has put like the waiver claim out for, or maybe he's listened to my podcast, my waiver wire thing, and I threw out there, you're going to think this is maybe crazy, or maybe you don't think this is crazy. I threw out Gardner Minshew
Mm,
because see, yeah, now you're a Colts fan. Now, follow my logic is simply that Tampa Bay's defense is terrible against
right.
the pass, and you have to pass against them to win. So I just think he's going to throw 45 times, and that's a better outcome for him.
Yeah, I think everybody's starting to see the scheme for Gardner Minshew, and if you pressure him, he's got happy feet,
He
and
does.
either he's gonna run and make a throw, or he's not gonna make the throw. So
Yeah. Well, that's where I think he does well this week. So,
right,
and I just
yeah,
because
Tampa Bay's secondary is pretty beat
yeah,
up.
their defensive line, they're really good at stopping the run, but they don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which is weird to me. But they're really good against the run. So I don't think Jonathan Taylor has a great week this week, but but they can't get pressure, so that could actually help Minshew to be better. Because you're
Right.
right, like if he gets pressure, he rolls out, he's out of there.
Yeah, and maybe he could do the Gardner Minshew because I think Tyler also has Josh Downs. I don't know if he's still injured or not, but that'd be a good
No,
little
he's
connection
healthy now.
piece to
Yeah,
have.
Downs is now healthy after the bye, so that's true as well. Him or I even throw out Jordan Love. I know that EJ had to let go of Jordan Love. I think it's because Kyron Williams came back off of his IR, so EJ had to drop a player and he dropped Jordan Love. This week specifically because they're playing the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions are terrible against the pass as well. So he could be another one that's a good pickup for Tyler. We'll see what Tyler decides to do.
Right.
Um, but we'll get into the reason why I don't care. Maybe you just don't play any quarterback, Tyler. Maybe you just leave him, leave that spot blank. I'm just suggestions. Uh, but anyways, we don't need to do waiver wire, so we'll go right into trade central, Bob. And we did have a trade between Glenn and Allison. So Allison gets in this trade. So she got Damian Pierce, the running back for the Houston Texans, and Romeo Dobbs, a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. In return, Glenn got Josh Dobbs, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. What are your initial thoughts on the trade?
Uh, I think it's a good trade. Don't really, I haven't really been paying a lot to the Damian Pierce and his injury and when he's gonna be back and all that, but it
He's
kind of looks like
practiced twice in a
Singletary.
row now. So he's now
What?
practiced 2 days in a row. I think he's
Right,
been a full participant. So it seems like he might be coming back this week.
right. I don't know. I think Singletary might be winning that backfield at the moment. But other
Yeah.
than that, I think it's a good trade. I was just kind of questioning that, like what was maybe Allison's reasoning behind that, if she needed running back help or what. I don't know.
Well, luckily I live with her, so I get to hear like where she goes with it. So it
Right,
was an interesting thought on her end because she kind of looked at it at the beginning of like, do I need these players? What do I have? Do they help improve? And she basically came to the conclusion that like it did help her depth. Like I think Pierce ends up being like her running back 4 or 5, so
right.
it's not like she's counting on him. So I think with that, because you had mentioned the injury concern, and I had let her know, I'm like, he is hurt right now, just so you're aware. Like he's hurt. I don't know. And I was with you. I was like, I don't know when he comes back. Like I don't know,
Right.
but I do know when he does come back. Like it's a split backfield. So I think for her, she was kind of taking the gamble there. And then for Dobbs, like I think it was just again another depth piece of better than like the bottom person on her roster.
Right.
And ultimately, like Herbert's her quarterback. She's not moving away from Herbert unless he gets
Right.
injured, so she doesn't need Dobbs. And Herbert's past his bye week, so you're not going to bench Herbert. You don't need like a quarterback for a bye week. So for her, I think she was willing to give up Dobbs, who had played well, even if it was a good value. But I think it's a good fair trade. Like, and
Yeah.
I like when it's like multiple positions and helping other both teams.
Right. For
For
sure.
Glenn's side, he's been trying to find a quarterback. He had Anthony Richardson. That
Yeah.
didn't work out so great. I think
Did
unfortunate for Glenn, he dropped Kyler Murray because he
right.
had to at some point.
Did he have Matthew Stafford too?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe.
Is he
Yeah,
still in? Is he done for the year?
no, Stafford, I believe, comes back this week.
Nice. Yeah.
It's kind of up in the air, but I think Stafford does come back this week, is what it seems like. Um, but you're right. Like, so he's just been trying to find the
Right.
answer at quarterback.
Yeah.
And Dobbs had been playing well until Glenn gets him, and he doesn't
Right.
do so well this week. So I feel bad for him for that. But overall, Dobbs had been doing well, so it makes sense for both sides on that one. The only thing I will say again, update trade deadline is, I believe it is next Wednesday by noon. So the 29th is a Wednesday. So in a sense, I know it's before like week 13 starts on that Thursday. I know the trade deadline's before that. So if anybody has any other trades they want to do, make sure you get them in.
Yep. And I'm still accepting trade offers if anybody sees something that maybe
Okay.
it works out.
What are you looking for?
Uh, ru- I guess kind of running back. I'm just my
Okay.
running backs worry me because like Javonte Williams, he's a rusher, but he mainly works off of pass catching. And
That's
then
true.
Robinson's the same way. It's just like if they don't rush for me. I don't know. It's just I'm not a fan of my running backs right now. So
Well, I think Javante to me is going to get better. He's just going to get better and better because like
right,
they were kind
and
of
he
holding
and
him back.
yeah, and he has been getting better. Uh, I think I'm gonna stick with Derrick Henry though. He's their schedule. It's so easy. The rest of the Tennessee Titans. So
Yeah,
hopefully he picks up and starts churning, but we'll see.
yeah. Yeah, and I think in our league, running backs are so valuable already. And then with the injuries that always end up happening to them, that is one that a lot of people are looking at. So if you have good running back depth and you're able to like trade one of those, I think you get more value in our league from it because it's such a coveted position right now that you could probably get a better value for a receiver or something from
Right,
giving away a running back. I mean, should think about it with this trade. He gets Dobbs, which was a good quarterback, which was like the number 10 or 12 quarterback in our league, um, for a running back who's injured. Like at the time David Pierce is like
right.
injured, he still was able to get something for him. So that just kind of shows right there, like it's valuable. Um, but like you said, anything, just throw out something. It's always interesting and there's been a lot of trades this year, so a lot
Yep.
of people trading and
Yeah,
interested in doing it.
I've traded a lot this year. Last year I was kind of scared of it. I think I only made one trade, and that might have been with you at the end of the year. But
Yeah,
it it's worked out for me. I mean, I started off with one thing, and I've kind of built my team up. Granted, it hasn't worked out for me the way I want it to, but I feel like my team's better than what it was at the beginning of the year for sure. So
yeah, and that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying, and as the year moves along, your needs change, but it also like where you sit in regards to like, are you in the playoffs? Are you at the bottom? Like, if you're in the league, if you're like an Allison, she's interestingly enough, like doing what she kind of should be, which is building up a little bit of depth and making sure, okay, I'm securing this spot. But whereas if you're like in that spot, like kind of where you're at, like you're at five
right,
and six, so you're kind of like, man, I'm right. I need to win all these next weeks, and I got
need some explosion.
yeah, you start to your moves are different at that
And
point.
I feel really good with you know, my quarterback and my two receivers. Like I feel really good about my receivers. I just need everybody to click at the same time and
Yep.
go off. So we'll
And you're
see.
right about Derrick Henry's schedule. I do like his schedule coming up, so I'll make sure if I try to trade for him from you, I'll give you a good offer. I'll try to do that. All right, now we're off to the comment of the week. And you and I kind of talked about this beforehand. There just wasn't much chatter this past
Right.
week from everybody, But what I saw, and I just want to give a shout out, was like actual like sharing of stuff and like it seemed like that's the whole point of this league is that we are connected and that we're talking more. Even if most of it's about fantasy football, there are things that trickle in. So I just threw some of that stuff on here. Zach sharing Miami with us. He got to go, and so
Yep,
you
that was
know,
cool.
and then you were kind of putting together Aaliyah's vanity.
That was hell. That was hell.
Is it up? Is it made?
Yep, it's up. It's made. Took me about 5.5 hours, but I literally had to build everything for that. And it was building the drawers and putting in the drawer slides and all that stuff. So it took
Oh,
a while. And I didn't want to mess it up because it's a very nice vanity. So
yeah, and if you mess up one part of that, you gotta like go backwards and
oh,
redo
it's
all the
it's
stuff.
game over because there's wood pegs and all that. You break
Yeah.
one, it's like so
And that's when you actually give up, is that
yeah,
moment when you're like,
yeah,
oh, you're kidding me. I gotta do
yeah,
more of this. I gotta
yeah.
backtrack.
There's definitely a couple close calls and maybe cursing Mindy's name under my breath, but other
Sure.
than that, we were good.
That's one of those times where I'm just like, I just gotta make sure I have enough weed or enough, a little
Right.
drink or something to to
Yeah.
just
That's what
all
I
right.
told him. I said before I started, I was like, I gotta go outside and smoke. So
Yeah, I gotta get in the right headspace. Shoot, ask
yeah,
Allison. That'll happen with me at times. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do my thing real quick, and when I get back in here, knocking it out.
yeah.
I'm on it. The other thing I mentioned was Dr. Sam versus Dr. Allison. I thought that was kind of a funny
Yeah,
back and
that
forth.
was that was pretty funny.
And we see
Where's
that
Al?
Dr.
I thought Allison was gonna do it this week.
I know, I did too. I thought she would, and she didn't put anything together for me, so that's on her, man.
Well, thanks for taking care of it for us, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Sam was still on it. He's still professional. I mean, he's just
Yeah,
professional. That's all it is.
that's
He's just all
very.
all professional. All right. Now we're going to move on to the last part, which is the Week 12 matchups. Before we really get into that, I do want to touch on our standings because there's been some movement in the standings and a couple of things that I was kind of prefacing earlier. I don't quite understand. So we had some movement. So Alice, basically the top spots are now different. So last week it was Louie and EJ at the top of each division. This week it is Allison and Casey at the top of each division. So we got some switches there because both of them got a W. I mentioned Casey has dethroned Sam for worst first team in America because he is number 9 in points, but he's number 1 in America's hearts. But yeah, he's got number 1 spot. But we have again heavy disparity in the West. You got no teams with the same record in the West, and it ranges anywhere from 2-9 up to 8-3. And then in the East, we are kind of bunched together a little bit here. So we got two teams at 4-7, two teams at 7-4. You got Kyle smashed in between at 5-6, and then Allison at the top at 8-3. The only thing I'll mention here is so Bob, you're seeing it now. The X that's next to EJ in the
Yep.
Cheesehead Champions, he has an X next to him, which means that he has clinched playoffs. So that's what the X means, is that he's clinched the playoffs. What I don't understand is how he has the X as the number 2 team, like
Right.
in his division. He's secured his spot, but the number 1 team hasn't. So I'm not quite sure like how ESPN has done their math. And I'm
Yeah,
saying
I
this
don't
to
know.
you, yeah, because we have. So here's what I'm saying: there's 8 teams that make the playoffs. Eight
Right.
teams. What I can tell you is that Casey and Allison can only lose 6 games total because there's only 3 weeks left in this season. What that means to me is there's no possible way they don't make the playoffs because we have 4 teams that have at least 7 losses. So I don't know why Casey and Allison don't have that X next to their name. Because
Right.
for me, like EJ would have it ultimately if he has the tiebreakers, meaning he's beat all of those teams that are 7 losses or more. He's beaten them all. Like that's what that means is that he's probably beaten them, and so therefore, even if he gets to 7 losses, he's already beaten all those teams, and therefore he'll automatically make it. Maybe that's why he's got it. But I can tell you right now, Allison and Casey, you're automatically in the playoffs. Good for you. EJ, apparently ESPN is saying that you are. I don't know. So EJ is also apparently in the playoffs, but that's all I know. So the rest of us, we gotta finish this thing out and decide who's actually going to make it. Bob, you're included. You have an 83% chance.
Yep, we shall see.
Hey, Bob, guess what? It told me that at the same time last year. Okay, just letting you
Right.
know. It told me 83%, and I believed it, and I did not. So
Oh yeah, you didn't make it in, did you?
nope. I
I
was.
I think I made it in, but I lost the first week. So
I don't remember what happened in the playoffs because I didn't make them, so
right.
I didn't care enough. But that's how we shake out going into week 12. There's only 3 weeks left in the regular season, man. It's kind of flying by already. But don't worry, for those who don't make playoffs, we still have the consolation bracket and all as well there. So let everybody know. Okay, now we're going to go into each matchup. So the first matchup I have on this board is Glenn at 4-7. He is last in the East versus Casey, who is 8-3 and number one in the West. The question that I kind of pose here is uh, Glenn has Brandon Ayuk, who has done very well. Casey has Brock Purdy, who is his quarterback. What do you think? Do you think that Brandon Ayuk will continue to do well? I'll just say that. Like Bob, do you see that continuing for Mr. Ayuk?
Uh, who are they playing?
They're playing the Seattle Seahawks, who are not great. They're not great
Right.
against the pass.
I
They're
think
okay.
I think he might keep going off for him, but
Yeah, it
we'll
it
see.
feels
I
that way
mean,
to
I
me too. Yeah.
yeah,
But and so why I say that is because usually what that means is Brock Purdy has done well. So Brock Purdy has
right,
also played well. But when Glenn has basically the number one receiver for like the 49ers for Brandon Ayuk, and Brandon Ayuk is like more the downfield guy too for them, that could just kind of even itself out. And ultimately, Casey is slated to projected to win by 15, but I just don't see that
right.
happening if Ayuk actually does well. I just don't see that really
Right.
happening, and that could be the difference in the games.
I
All
like
right.
that.
Next up, we have me and Tyler. Um, I have never had a projection of 131. Like that's amazing. So I'm I'm
Right.
I'm excited. I hope that's true, man. That'd be fucking awesome. If that was actually the case. But supposedly I'm going to double his point total. So right now he's projected for 65 and a half, but that's because he doesn't have a quarterback in there. So we got to find out what he's going to do there. I put the titles "Getting Burrowed by Injuries" because I'm so fucking clever. But he's got to find a new quarterback, and he started Daryl Henderson, who no longer has a job in the NFL. Daryl Henderson got cut by the Rams
Oh,
because
he
Kyron
did get cut.
he got cut. Like he got brought in as like their starting running back off the couch. He just got
Right.
brought in as a starting running back a few weeks ago, and they've already just pieced out on him.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing great though. So I will
Right.
say, like, there's reason he didn't have a job. But
Yeah,
what it
but
does mean,
Tyler's rough on running backs. That hurts.
yeah, he is because his other one's like Moss. Like he might have to put Zach Moss out there right now, and
Yeah, and Zach, I'm still mad about the Colts and what they're doing. I really like the 50-50 between Taylor and Moss, but I get it. So
what I would say is at least like 60-40, because I
right.
don't think you want to ruin Taylor. You just
I
paid
feel
the
like
man.
I feel like Moss earned it though. I mean, he
Yeah.
was killing it at the beginning of the year. So
Yeah, I would agree. Like I don't maybe it's just not Steichen's offense because I will say like even when he was with the Eagles, like they ran the ball though. It's just that like that wasn't what they always did. So he's got an interesting offense. But I agree with you. I'd like to see Moss get more play. Like he just doesn't.
Right.
It's just yeah, he got like 0 points the last time he was out there.
Yeah, I think they only gave him one carry, which is
Yeah,
insane.
and
So,
so I do feel bad for him for that. So hopefully Moss gets a little bit more if he plays him,
right.
which I'm assuming he might. And then he's got Tyler Boyd in as flex, but if we're concerned with Jamar Chase and because of this other Browning guy, like I'm concerned with Tyler Boyd as well. And I
Yep.
know Tyler put Aiden O'Connell, the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's who he has on his bench now, but I'm thinking he might pick up somebody off of waivers this week because there's a lot more out there. So
Right.
we'll see. I feel confident going into it. I mean, I feel like I should win, but these are
Right.
the spots where you just don't, you just don't win in these spots. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, next we have Zach at 4-7, fifth in the East, going against EJ, who is 7-4 and second in the West. Zach, their projections are actually pretty close here.
Yep.
But I put on here like what'll happen to EJ's stars. Like, will Justin Jefferson play? Will Cooper Cup play? Like, is that ankle injury, bad? Kyron Williams is listed as being on IR, but with them letting Daryl Henderson go, that just means that Kyron Williams obviously is coming back. So it seems like
Right.
they'll get Kyron Williams back at least. But Justin Jefferson and Cooper Cup, if both of those guys sit out, I think at that point there's Zach has a much better chance of playing of doing well against him.
Yep.
I don't think Zach keeps MVS in there. I think Marquez Valdez Scantling. He is no longer going to be in Zach's lineup. Who
Yeah.
knows? And let me
So
ask you this: like AJ Dillon, because Aaron Jones is not going to play. Oh God, I'm yawning too much. It's been too late. Too long of a day, everybody. But AJ Dillon is the backup, but he's also slightly injured and hasn't really played very well this year. Do you feel confident in him going in? Like, what do you?
uh
Yep,
kind of it's 50-50, I guess. I mean,
yep. That's kind
yeah.
of how it feels.
Yeah, it's just tough. Like I said, Green Bay's offense in general has just been weird this year. And I thought that they'd be more explosive for sure, which has
Yeah,
been
they
kind
just
of crazy.
haven't.
Nope.
Yeah, it's been very very odd. So we'll see how that all goes for him. What I will say is like Zach's got some decent matchups there, but so does shoot. I mean, if Dak Prescott doesn't go off against Washington Commanders, who have been terrible against the pass, like that, I see that happening too. So it could be due to that a little rough one for Zach too. But we'll see what happens with EJ's top two wide receivers because if they both play, man, that could be dangerous. I'll just say that. Like that's going to be a dangerous match at some point. If you got to go against EJ and with Justin Jefferson and Cooper Cup, oh
Yeah.
god, no, thank you. Bob, you're up. You're playing Allison. How are
Yeah.
you feeling?
Uh, well, Allison's already changed her lineup. I know that she's predicted more than that 96 now. So we're
Yeah,
we're
because
we're a
Ken
lot
Walker's
closer.
not playing. I forgot about
Right.
that. Ken Walker's not
So
playing.
she's at about 108, so we're only a 4 point difference.
Okay.
I'm I don't feel super confident just because my running backs have tough matchups. Derrick Henry, not so much, but Javante's playing against
Cleveland.
Cleveland defense, and then
Yep.
Robinson's going against Dallas
Yep.
defense. So it's it's gonna be tough. I know I'm projected more, but I it'll be tough. My guy's gotta get some
Yeah.
points, figure out a way.
Yeah, you're right. You have some tough matchups when it comes to that. even Tua and Tyreek against the Jets, I mean, the Bills did well, so maybe that
Right.
won't be as much of a problem.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's another tough one. I'm just all my players are just going against good defense this week. So
yeah, I would say on her end, she has Justin Herbert going against the Ravens, and as well as
yeah,
her tight end Parham doing the same thing. Um, so that's a tough spot. She's not going to be able to play Ken Walker because he's injured. So I'm assuming Swift just probably goes into that running back two spot is what she's done.
right,
And I know she has a couple of wide receivers she was debating between of Puka Nakua or is it going to be, Michael Pittman. You
right.
know, I
I think she I can't remember exactly. She put
I
Swift up at running back,
yeah.
and Puka Nakua is on her bench still. So
Yeah, I would have and I would probably play Pittman just because they're going against Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay's defensive backfield is not good. So that's why I would
right,
do that. But the good part for you is like the Phillies backfield or defensive backs is not they're not good either. So
right.
hopefully like they'll be able to pass well and Stephon Diggs will get back on track because he's been a little bit off track the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, since I've gotten him, he hasn't done nothing. So and
Well, the
that
first week he got
and
him was against me,
that's
yeah, and
what
I was
I
like,
was hoping
yes.
for when I made my trade. I got these two explosive wide receivers, and but only one's been going off for me. So
Diggs will get back there because it looks like
yep.
Allen's kind of getting back, and they just changed their offensive coordinator, so that could work out well. But this is definitely one that I'm looking at, and I put the tagline of who to flex because I knew for her, with Ken Walker being out, she'd have to choose like on a flex option, and as you know, that's just nerve wracking at times. So
Right.
you're choosing Brian Robinson against a tough defense.
Right. I got it set up like that right now. I've been thinking about changing some stuff up. I still might play Brian Robinson. Um Maybe move him to my number two. And I was
Okay,
thinking about maybe putting in a wide receiver, pulling Javante and
okay,
putting a wide receiver in that flex spot. I just don't know who I want. I got some explosive people, explosive wide receivers that could possibly get me points, but
yeah,
it's boom or bust for them. That Shaheed
oh yeah.
or the Packers wide receiver I got. So
I'd like to know for Shahid's sake, like, yeah, maybe the quarterback doesn't
and
matter
Mike
as
Mike and
much,
the
but
reason why I might play Shaheed is because Michael Thomas is out for the year
right.
now. So he might get some more volume now. So we'll see.
That's why I'm wondering who the quarterback's going to be because of that exact
Hmm.
reason. And with Michael Thomas out, it gives more option for Shaheed, and Shaheed looks good, man. Like
Yeah.
he actually finally got some, yeah, and he finally got some stuff that wasn't just deep route. He actually got some like routes that were like over the middle and stuff, and he looked good. I mean, so I like him a lot because they had a bye week this past week, right? Was this past week they
Yep.
had the bye?
I
Yeah,
think
week
so.
11.
Yeah.
But week 10, like he looked good in week 10. Like I think he got 5 or 6 catches. It wasn't as like 2 or 3 that he usually gets that are just bombs. It was like actual decent plays. So I picked him up in another league. I like him. So I would say
Right.
for you, that could be the route. If you feel like, hey, I need a good boom guy, dude,
Yep.
Shahid's been had a few of those this year where like
Hmm.
he can do well. So I like that pickup by you. That's good. All right. Um, Now we'll move on to the next matchup. Another tough one. I think it's tough because Sam's kind of been on that downswing right now. But I put Fields more or less because I'm so witty again. But basically, Sam has Justin Fields. Louis has DJ Moore. DJ Moore is
Yep.
obviously the number one target for Justin Fields. Is this a similar thing? Like, do you feel like DJ Moore is just going to cancel him out? Like, what do you?
Well, it could happen, but if Justin Fields decides to use those legs, it could be a different story, which is great about him. So he
Yeah,
could he could have 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns and not even use more. So
and you know what? I like that you said that because that's the difference between Fields and Moore across from each other versus Purdy and Ayuk because Purdy does not run.
Right.
So Purdy is throwing the ball, whereas you're right, Fields is going to run 10 times.
Yep.
And so that can take away from what he might do with DJ Moore. So maybe it's not as sticky when it comes to that. I also wonder what Sam's going to do because I'm pretty sure Deonta Foreman, he had mentioned him in his own injury report, but it seems
Right.
like he's probably not going to play. I don't think. And so let's see. So I'm assuming then James Conner goes to his running back 2 spot, and then he has to choose what his flex is going to be. And you had also mentioned Jamar Chase of he you just can't expect him to put up big numbers.
Right.
He's going into that Garrett Wilson category of like no longer a huge ceiling of 30. It's now going to be like he'll probably consistently get you 12 to 15 again.
Right.
Hopefully, and you're hoping for that. But I see that Louis already replaced Mark Andrews, put Jake Ferguson in, uh, which is a good tight end. I mean, I like
Yep.
Ferguson as a good backup tight end for him. So Louis doesn't really skip too much of a beat here, but I think it's going to be an uphill climb for Sam with having a couple of Cincy guys on his team um and Deonta Foreman going down. So we'll have to see what happens there. All right, and then I believe this is the last one. I gave it the T Gives Game of the Week. In case you're already not calling it T Gives, you should be, just so everybody's aware. Thanksgiving is T Gives. That's what it
He's
is.
good.
T Gives. But for this one, this is really close. I put it as game of the week because Kyle is, Andy's nephew. And B, this has the closest like projection wise. Like these projections are less than a point away from each other
Right.
for it. Right now, Andy does have Kyler Murray still in as his quarterback. He has not updated that. I don't know if he plans to update it to Trevor Lawrence and put Calvin Ridley back in there. No idea. No idea what he's going to do. But I do see that Kyle already put Josh Allen back in.
He did. Smart
Yeah.
man. Smart
But
man.
guess what? Josh Allen is the number one quarterback in our league. Guess who doesn't ever get benched, Kyle? It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen does not get benched because he's the number one quarterback in our league. No matter what you want to think about him, he can frustrate you at times, but Um, like when CMC only got me 15 points, I was like, God, man, like, only 15
Right.
points. But any other running back gives me 15. I'm like, yeah, good job.
Yeah.
So it just feels different at that point. Um, I don't see much crossover. So a lot of times, Bob, when I look at these games, I try to see like kind of what like crisscross, what crosses over. The only thing that I can tell you is that Kyle has Tank Dell, whereas Andy has Nico Collins, and they're
Right.
literally trying to play him against each other. So that's an interesting one to see, like who. And Nico's been the one that's been hurt, and he's coming off of an injury. I think he played last week, but he didn't do so great. But he's played, so that'll be an interesting one to kind of see, I guess,
Right.
who goes off, Tank
Yeah.
Dell or
I
Nico.
think it. I think it'd probably be Tank Dell. He's good. I mean, he's moving. He's probably. He's moving up in the. I'd put him in the top 10 with how Stroud's throwing it to him.
Yeah, they were talking
He's
about
been
that
blowing.
rest of the season. He might be that.
Right.
Because he's getting a lot of targets. He's a good player. He's on the field a lot. He's had a lot of injuries around him, but to me, like even if he doesn't have injuries, like Robert Woods is not anywhere close to Tank Dell's level. Like
Right.
he's not there. John Mechie is not there. Noah Brown is not there. Like Tank Dell is just really impressed this year, and he's a rookie, so he's done well as a rookie. And CJ Stroud's a rookie, so like that could be a good connection in general for a good long time coming. But yeah, that'll be the interesting one. I think is Tank Dell versus Nico Collins. But good luck to both of those teams. I don't. Andy needs a victory to kind of stay afloat and feel more confident. And Kyle's already blown his previous record out of the water. So
Right.
Kyle's living a dream right now. Kyle's probably like, "Hey, I know I won't be last."
No
That's
more
that.
lemonade stands for that guy.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle still could be last technically. Yeah, because there's 3 games left, so technically he could get 9 losses if Tyler keeps winning. So I guess he technically. So I shouldn't say that quite yet, Kyle. He could still be last, but it'll be really tough to do to
Right.
be last. But one thing I will note, so I was looking at points. I mentioned Casey was the worst first team in America because he's ninth in points. But Andy, I believe, is dead last in points, if I'm not mistaken, or at least he
Right.
was before this past week. Maybe I checked before this past week. But Andy, you gotta pick it up here, all right, man? Gotta
Thought,
pick it up.
thought Andy was the expert.
He,
I'm just playing.
I know he's doing well in other leagues, and this is why. But this is why we all play so many leagues, so we can say, "Yeah, I suck in this one, but my other one, I'm doing well."
Right.
That's why we
I
do
only play him one, and I tell everybody straight up how it's going, and it hasn't
it.
been great.
I should do that. I should limit it, but I'll be down to 2 or 3 next year. I'll at least get rid of one next year. But before we part, Bob, any anything you want to say to the peeps for before Thanksgiving?
Just everybody eat a bunch of good food and enjoy the holiday.
Where are you going?
We're gonna go to Autumn's aunt and uncle's, Todd and Marcy. We're gonna go over
Okay.
there, and then after that, we're gonna go stop by my parents. We usually there's a couple other Thanksgivings that we usually do, but we're just taking it easy this year. Not everybody's kind of around the same time, and I
Yeah.
just kind of over showing up somewhere for 45 minutes and being like, later we gotta go, and don't really eat, and we're just gonna take it easy this year.
Well, I mean, you're old. You're getting old now. You don't have to
Yep.
do those things anymore, okay,
Right.
Bob? You got to get out of
Right.
that mindset. You got to just say, yeah. And it seems like you're starting to. You're starting to realize, like, you know what?
Right. I mean,
This is
when we were younger and Aaliyah was little, everybody
right.
wanted to see her and all
Yep.
that, and so we had to make her rounds. But now it's kind of, we'll just slow it down.
Good for you all. Yeah. We're lucky. Like every year we come here to the in-laws and
Right.
we do Thanksgiving here, so we kind of keep that tradition going. And yeah, I think I decided realize at some point. Well, and our family, but they're thinking like it's like, man, there's so much divorce, and I don't mean to say it like it's such a negative, but it kind
Right.
of does around the holidays. It fucking sucks, man.
Yep. Yep.
It always became like my parents were divorced, so then you were gonna go see both sides there,
Yeah.
and then
I mean, that's how it was for me when I grew up. My parents were divorced too, so it was
yeah,
had 2 Thanksgivings, 2 Christmases, three, and all that
yeah,
stuff.
dude,
And then we had to do it all over again when we had Aaliyah and take her everywhere, both sides of the family. And yeah,
yeah. It was always stressful because then my dad's parents were divorced too. So then he was always going to multiple already. So then it felt like, okay, like I'm
right.
going to multiple because my parents are divorced, and then my dad's parents are divorced. So then I gotta not only am I going to multiple for my own parents, then I'm gonna go to multiple because of like my dad's side.
Yep.
So it would always get and then just you probably ridden in the car enough with them, but like that's where around the holidays is always a stressful. I'm sur- I'm surprised. Like steering, they make steering wheels like really strong. Like
Yeah.
steering wheels are like so strong. I swear, right? Like I'm always like that. I never really thought about that till now, but they are very strong.
Yep.
So,
They,
but
they could take a hit or two for sure.
oh my gosh. Well, Bob, thank you so much for doing this
Yep.
episode
No,
with
no
me.
problem. I'm glad I was able to get on here. It's hard for me with work and stuff, but I'm glad that we made it work.
How did bowling go? How's bowling?
Uh, Good. We won all of our games. I got Zach to join on my team this year, so he's bowling with us too.
What? All
Yep.
right. Come on in.
Yep.
Oh, we might have a visitor before.
Oh,
Hey, hey, you want to see? What do we got here?
Who is that?
You want to say hi? Say
Hi,
hi.
Tage.
Yeah, you're one of her favorites. She always loves seeing you.
We share the
Right?
same birthday. Why not?
That's totally true, right? You and Bob
Woo
was
woo.
born same birthday. How cool.
July 18th.
July 18th. That's right.
Yeah, you're good with that. Yeah, she like always on it. And she got a new haircut,
Yeah,
right?
I
Show off
see that. I
your
like
new
it. I
do.
like the short hair. Probably easier to keep cleaned up and stuff, not all in your face.
Right.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's pretty.
All right. Yeah.
Wait,
Well, yeah, because when you got your haircut, they cut it, and then she saw it, and she was like shorter. So she
right.
said
One is
shorter,
shorter.
shorter, right? Know what you want, and I was proud of you for saying, "Hey, I know what I want, and I want it shorter."
That's awesome. Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
I'm going to bed.
You're going to bed. All right, I'll be there in a moment. All right.
Bye, Tage.
Whoop whoop whoop. Say bye, Uncle Bob.
Bye.
All right, she made her appearance.
She said, I'm going. She knows what she wants, man. She said, I'm going to bed. I'm done.
She loves the by Uncle Bob. She said, um, "Oh, she loves the podcast. She always wants to know like what I'm. She knows when it's happening. It's like
Right,
she's good." And so then, so when it was Allison and I, was that last week? I think was it last week? I don't remember. But it's so funny because she's on every podcast except for when it's Allison and I because we can't we
right.
can't we gotta watch her a little bit. So we couldn't do it then. But she loves it, man. She loves to hop on and see everybody and say hi. It's just so everybody's aware. She's all
Yep.
about it. But again, man, good seeing you, good having you on. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the food, man.
Yep.
Get your grub on.
Tell
Pig
everybody
out.
out there we said hello.
Will do, man. All right. All right. Love you, man.
I love you too, man.
Bye.